Captain's log. June 12th, 2026. Almost the 13th. Figured I'd open with that more basic, more repeated. I wouldn't even call it a running joke. It's just something I'd say whenever it's like the middle of the month. Ow. Banged my headphone wire on my desk. I say ow when I'm not injured. Just when I'm like, when something I didn't expect to happen. Just a thing. Anyway. But, you know, not Friday the 13th. I'm not going to check what the next ones are. I think it's like November, December. Memory serves. Another thing is, it does not feel like a Friday. Maybe that's just me. I've been waking up earlier, and the sun is setting much, much later. Feels so long. Feels like it's not Friday, but like next Wednesday, if that makes any sense. So much time in the day. But oh, did I say good on you? You made it to Friday? I believe I did. Well, my mistake. That doesn't count. So, hello, I'm Captain Vile. Good on you. You've made it to Friday. Again, I'm jumping around. If I did say the normal opening, then you just got like 2 or 3 if you want to count the quoting one, which I don't. But I'm not sure why I'm mentioning this now, because the thing's late. But like, I know people watch these in playlists when they so down the line this will be, and I mentioned this in other ones, so I guess it's just something I do, always thinking of the feature but not really like caring to make things feature proof, is mentioning like, oh, this episode was late, and then some guy in like 2027 is like, oh, was it? I wouldn't know. Well, you, dear hypothetical Violin, far off, are much more later than I am. Alright, anyway. Let's just get on to Media Minute, alright? What did I watch? So, spur of the moment watch, in addition to the weekly, just to talk about movie, is 30 Days of Night. So I gave this 3 stars and a heart, and said beautiful cinematography and great use of color. The wide white landscapes make the red bloodstains pop. The fair-to-day framing is interesting. Some of the time skips feel like needed a scene or two between them. The editing of this movie is probably the weakest part. The vampires are the best part of this. They hunt in a pretty interesting and smart way. Anything negative I have to say is just a nitpick about a decision they could have made but didn't. Like the vampires taking in the stranger. Overall, a fun watch. Looks great. So apparently this is from a comic. It's an adaptation, and there's like a sequel and maybe a third. It might be a trilogy. I know there's definitely a sequel. But just found the movie. I was like, occasionally you see like clips of crap, and the cinematography looks beautiful. And I was like, well, damn, I gotta watch this movie. It looks great. And it did. It looked really cool. One of the huge points from me is one of the opening shots is a guy in an Arctic landscape looking at a boat. So, I'd say it's a pretty good looking movie. But even without my like unbelievable bias towards Arctic and nautical themes, it's a very good looking movie. Nice use of color. And there's also some CGI in here that I quite like. There's something about 2010s, mid-2000s to 2010s CGI And it's not even like, oh, well, Dead Man's Chest from Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, that's stunning CGI. I'm not talking about that. That's realistic CGI. That's very impressive. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about stuff that you look at it and you're like, yeah, that's from the 2000s. That looks very dated. That doesn't look real at all. It's got this strange shading and rendering style. That's what I'm talking about. I much prefer that to Davy Jones. If Davy Jones looks like that, and I'd love to put an image on screen, but this is audio only. But if there's a scene in this movie with a head, like a head on a pike, and they don't show it for very long, but you know it's not actually there. They didn't make a prop. There's good gore in this, but they didn't make a prop. No, that's CGI. And there's another scene in Daybreakers, which is... the movie I wouldn't say is style over substance. I think it's alright. The story is fine. It's not like Daybreakers, where the story is whatever. You're really here for the amazing use of color. Because that's also another thing. There is, in the 70s, there was a French film movement where it was style over substance. Such as... Subway, I think? I reviewed it a while ago. Watched it. If I can find the damn thing. It's Geraldo, thinks I have an earth reading the earth. It wasn't that long ago. What? Maybe it was. Daybreakers. It was definitely after Daybreakers. His father told me about it. Would I not review it? That's weird. I swear I did. Hang on. This is bugging me now. Subway! It was Subway! Yeah. Figured out another name for some reason. But French movement in the 70s and 80s, mid-70s, mid-80s, to make style over substance movies. And I think there was an American, like, mid-2000s style over substance. So I think every now and then people are just like, the script can be whatever. Let's make this thing look interesting for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Just have the characters do whatever, but make them pop. But as I was saying, remember how this tangent started when I spoke about Daybreakers? But there's a scene in Daybreakers. It's a car chase, and one of the cars blows up and does like a barrel roll or something. And it's like a military jeep. And I think I described it as looking like a video game, I think. That's the rendering style I'm talking about. And this isn't nostalgia speaking. I watched those movies this year, and I never played that many like games that came out when I was growing up. I wasn't allowed to. I couldn't play Call of Duty. Oh, I had to like beg my parents to let me play Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, because I used the caveat of they don't use guns, alright? It's paintball. It does damage to the plants, but it's still a paintball. And I got away with it. But I never played, like, I remember asking my dad to get me Dead Space, and he was like, no, I'm not getting this for you. This is way too violent. But I never grew up with the games that came out during my age. And if you don't listen to just this show, and you watch the other, like, games on the channel, you may know that of me never playing anything that comes out recently. It's all like, Captain, this is from, like, this is from the 2000s, or this is from 2010. Why are you playing this? I didn't play it earlier. I didn't play it when I was a kid. It's not nostalgia. But I just think it's it's interesting. We oughta. I would love to learn that rendering style and make like some 3D animations with it. And maybe I'll do that. I spoke earlier about wanting to recreate a dream in Blender. Because it's such a simple landscape. It's not even a landscape. It's the interior of a building that you can't see most of. It's just pool tiles. I could do... There's a method of making a game called shovelware, where you just download assets. I could do that. Because I would probably want to make it like a 5-minute video where I like walk around. And I think it would be easier to just program in Unity just basic FPS controls and put it in this like recreated map. Because it's just a pool. It's just an indoor swimming pool with boats in the pools. And it's a mega structure. It would be so simple if I wasn't incredibly busy with finals and my job and other aspects of the channel. But I'm gonna do it one day. I really am. I have to get the right, because I could do like shovelware. I want to get this, I remember specific boats that were in the pool and the specific tiles that the building was made up of. Now, there's also a specific look to the clerk who dismissively handed me the keys and told me to go to D5. I don't know if I mentioned that in the dream, but he told me to go to D5. So I have to do like a layout of this parking lot kind of thing. I lost my train of thought. If you couldn't tell. But other actual movie for this week is Into the Night, my father's pick for our weekly discussion. I gave this 3.5 stars and a heart and said, interesting watch, similar to After Hours, where a guy takes a risk and spirals with stuff just happening to him, but it's much less mean-spirited. I would have liked it more if it was worse for Ed and had more things set up and pay off, but then it'd be a different movie. The movie it is fine. And that's where I left it. So I'm not going to spoil the ending. It is. I was tempted to mention this, but it's not really that relevant. But it's a romantic comedy thriller. But the only times I laughed were in the last act. There's a joke with a cop that was pretty funny, and frankly, yeah, it makes sense. And there's a joke before that where he's talking to I'll just say the boss. He's talking to one of the bosses, just buying time and whatnot. And I think that's pretty good. Other than that, I like it. Again, it's similar to After Hours, but the universe is not just out to get him. There was an ending I thought they were going for, that if they did go for, I probably would have liked a little more. Because and there's a few things they set up, he takes the card of this, drug dealer, and I think he says a few other, there's some things set up they could have done, but never explored. It's just they move on to the next set piece and go on and go on and go on. But After Hours is a circular film. You meet a character once. Thinking about it, I think there's only maybe one character you don't meet once. Or you meet just once, and that's the guy at the subway. Everyone else, you see again, at least. And I quite like that aspect of the film. They keep jumping around. He's so desperate. I've really got to rewatch that. I'm going to. School's out next week. I got to hunker down and finish my goddamn essays. Isn't that fun? Film, well, what's your project? Making film? Yeah. And on top of that, I gotta do 1,000-word analysis of some ads, which again, 1,000 words, whatever. But it's, God damn, I just want to make movies. Do I have to talk about them? I'm talking about them now as a hobby. I don't want to, and it's not even ads that are interesting. But that's going tediously. But it's going. Once I finish those, and I'm just off for the summer, I'll rewatch some movies I like. First of them being After Hours. I don't know what it is. No, I do know what it is. It's a good movie that I enjoy, but specifically that one I come back to, which is again fitting for how much I just went on about how it goes back to previous things. I should do an actual review. I did when I've got some early reviews for movies I like. When I first started logging movies on Letterboxd, I didn't actually review them. I just did a little funny, in quotations, like, one-off line. And for After Hours, I wrote Chekhov's Firing Squad, which is a fitting description of the movie, but I'd like to at least give it its flowers, as well as a fitting description of the movie. So, all this talk of movies, but something that's been on my mind lately is television. So, not between shows right now. I'm watching From, as it's coming out, the 4th season. Which is not getting better than the last time I spoke on it. It's not getting better is all I'll say on that. I think I will make a rant video complaining about, oh, it's not as good as I remember, oh, rose-tinted glasses, blah, blah, blah. I do think the writing got worse between seasons, though I did enjoy season 3. But I do need to watch a show whilst animating, and we've again, if you don't watch the regular videos other than this weekly podcast, you wouldn't know. But we've come up to something of a brick wall in Kingdom Hearts. So I gotta grind to level up. It is a JRPG after all. So I gotta find something to watch during that, because if I animate in silence, and then when I'm wanting to take a break from animating so my fingers can rest, grinding enemies in a JRPG in silence, except for the in-game music and enemies, I'm gonna kill myself. No. But I gotta find something to watch. And even then, I'd like to watch more TV. I've always watched movies. I've never watched that much television. I've rewatched a handful of shows over and over and over and over again. Like that being Seinfeld and Frasier. I used to watch The Office a lot, but I mean that's as soon as I in terms of rewatchability for me, rewatching The Office was like weed, and then rewatching Frasier is like black tar heroin. One of them just hits a lot harder. So, I might rewatch House. That was a pretty good show. I'm also interested in watching either Archer or Mad Men. I know very little about both. But I know Archer is more of a spy thing, and Mad Men is more of just like a... I think it's similar to 30 Rock, in terms of it's just people in a building being bad at their jobs and being bad people. And House is kind of a blend between those, people being terrible at their jobs and bad people, and then there's also a lot of crazy stuff that happens. So, interesting kind of... I guess it's less fantastical, is a better way of putting it. Archer is the more fantastical of the two shows. However, Mad Men is the more grounded. So probably more character moments or something. I don't know how long Mad Men is, but I know that Archer is 14 seasons. So that's... House is 9 seasons. So it depends on how long I want to have this... security. Because I still want to listen to video essays and whatnot while doing stuff. But if I can't find a good one, it's good to have well, can't find anything, let's go to the show and then put that on. It's nice to have. And someone is, Captain, you shouldn't just listen to shows. You should sit your ass down, open your eyes, and watch them. And I've done that as well, alright? Treat a show. I guess I don't respect television as much as I respect movies, thinking about it. There's very few shows I genuinely just watch instead of just listening to them, and then occasionally I'll turn over and be like, oh, that's what's happening visually. There's one recent show that came out 2012, 24, I believe. That sounds about right, yeah. It's called Common Side Effects. It was an animated... It's got 1 season. Season 2 is in development. I guess they're all recent shows. Because it's Severance, which is getting a 3rd season soon. And then Common Side Effects, which is getting a 2nd season sometime soon, hopefully. I know it's in greenlit for one. Same with Severance. But yeah, those are good. Severance more of a mystery show. But Common Side Effects, if you've not heard of it, I would recommend to watch it. It's short. I think it's like 10 episodes. 22 minutes, I believe. Yeah. You can watch it in like an afternoon. I wouldn't recommend it. I'd let it like boil, simmer. Watch it over the course of a week or something, if you do. But it is a good bingeable show. But it's about a guy who discovers a mushroom for a cure for everything, and because it cures every disease, including death. That's not a spoiler. That's in the trailer. All right. He like. I'm not gonna tell you what happens, but it can cure death. So he's found like the cure. So pharmaceutical companies are trying to kill him because that would destroy their business, because he's got the cure now and they can't. They're trying to like monopolize it or just destroy it in general. So neat show. It is an animated show, but it's animated in an interesting way. I mean, not really. It's not like pushing the medium, or like. I'd say the art style is there. It's very realistic and beautiful backgrounds, but the humans are interesting. They're cartoony, and their faces specifically are. This may just be a main character thing. No, I think it's other characters, yeah. Their faces are just a little too small on purpose for their face. I mean, obviously it's on purpose. Animation is the most controlled medium. Everything you see is on purpose, but it's an odd... So they look goofy, but they're in a very realistic visual setting. So it's interesting to look at. And have them, like... But it's a nice show, and I like it, and I'm looking forward to Season 2. As for Severance, looking forward to Season 3. Any other shows I've seen of late that I actually would recommend to people? None come to mind. I mean, House, I guess. That's another one that I would, like, watch, because I tried to, like, solve the mystery, despite the fact that I have no medical knowledge whatsoever, and I'm no way qualified to diagnose. I did get it once, though. I don't remember what it was, but I predict it was a pretty, like, basic disease that, like, most people would know of. I don't remember what I just said I don't remember that, but I called it, and I was like, oh yeah, ha, I was right. Captain Vile 1, House MD, like, 40. Alright. I think I have some other... Maybe a few talking points, but I think I've got enough for now. Yeah. I mean, I do have some more stuff that is full-on just complaining. But at the moment, I've done my fill. Yeah, my throat's a bit strained from the talking now. I could have some water and continue on for maybe another 10 minutes, but I think I'll just cut it here. So, thank you for watching, and good Vile.